Alors, bonsoir. On va faire l'appel. Tous les membres du conseil. On va commencer. Tous les membres du conseil sont présents. Roll call. All members of council are present and accounted for. Nice to have you join us, Councillor Alone. I know you're probably jet lagged, so I appreciate you rushing back to be here with us tonight. We'll start with the territorial land acknowledgement.
Alors, entendu que le Canada est fondé sur des principes qui reconnaissent la... No, wrong one, sorry. Let's try that again. Alors, nous reconnaissons que nous sommes sur le territoire non cédé des Anishinaabe et les terres traditionnelles des peuples Haudenosaunee, Huron-Wendat et Kanyen-Kahaka. Nous reconnaissons notre obligation commune de respecter, d'honorer et de préserver ces terres et les ressources naturelles qu'elles contiennent.
Whereas Canada is founded upon the principles that recognize the supremacy of God and the rule of law, let us take a moment of personal reflection. Our home and native land, true patriot love, in all of us command, car ton bras sait porter l'épée, il sait porter la croix. Son histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God, keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. See? Okay, numéro 4, additions, deletions, or amendments. I have 18A for Councillor Deacon, childcare service provision. Any other additions or changes? So move to item 5, motion to approve the agenda as amended. This is moved by Councillor Lawrence, seconded by Councillor Armstrong. Call for the vote. All in favor? And passed. Merci. Déclaration d'intérêt pécuniaire. Je n'en vois pas. On procède. Item 7, adoption of the minutes. Motion to approve the regular council minutes from our September 22nd council meeting. This is moved by Councillor Deacon, seconded by Councillor Lauren, and call for the vote. All in favor? And passed. Thank you. Numéro 8, présentation. Il n'y en a pas. Numéro 9, délégation, pétition. Il n'y en a pas. Item number 10. All items listed under the consent items will be enabled by one motion. A majority vote is required for the adoption of the consent items. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a request is made prior to the time council votes on the motion that a consent item is to be separated from the motion. That separated item shall be considered immediately after. So motion that all items listed under the consent items be received as presented. This is moved by Councillor Deacon, seconded by Councillor Armstrong. Call for the vote. All in favor? And passed. Thank you. So we move to item 11, reports from departments and council committees. So item A, that council receives report PD 2025-38 and approve the implementation of the following notification procedure for revised development applications that are submitted to the Planning Advisory Committee prior to council considerations. In the event that a requested revision to a development application, the applicant shall update the on-site sign with a revision notice indicated the revised Planning Advisory Committee meeting date, provided the original purpose of the application remains substantially the same. 2, should the proposed amendment to the zoning bylaw and/or official plan constitute significant deviation from the original intent of the applicant shall be required to install a new on-site sign at their own expense. And bullet 3, any revision notice used to update the existing signage with the revised meeting date shall also be the financial responsibility of the applicant. So this new approach, I think, sets a clear, fair process for handling revised planning applications. So I think it does a good job of keeping residents informed through visible notices and avoiding unnecessary delays and costs. And I think it does well for the transparency and consistency piece. I believe this was endorsed at planning, Conseiller Lalonde. Anything to add, Monsieur Bourgon?
Merci, Monsieur le Maire. So simply to add that over the last year, we had a few of those cases where we weren't sure what type of signage or would be required to, or do we go back of full-on publication to public? So with those, at least adding those guidelines, hopefully we'll be able to rectify the situation. Au moins de cette façon-là, c'est plus clair là, quand un applicant modifie son sa demande.
Merci. As members of the PAC committee, Councillor Lauren, Councillor Lalonde, anything to add to that? Members of council, any additional comments or questions pertaining to this item? No? Merci. Alors, on avance à l'item B. Que le Conseil reçoive le rapport PD 2025-43 daté du 14 octobre 2025 et rejette la demande d'exemption de l'obligation de fournir des garanties financières dans le cadre du dossier de contrôle du plan d'implantation, merci, D11-161. Anything to add on this, Monsieur Bourgon?
Donc, l'administration a reçu la demande de l'applicant de réduire la lettre de crédit à 0. Nos politiques demandent qu'on retienne tout le temps 50% de la valeur des travaux du site. Donc, puisque la demande va à l'encontre de nos politiques, c'est pour ça que cette demande est adressée au Conseil de faire exemption à la lettre de crédit. Et la recommandation de l'administration demeure de garder le 50%.
Merci. Alors, je confirme que normalement, c'est 50% la demande, c'est ça, oui? OK, alors juste mes deux sous là-dessus. Financial securities are important safeguard for townships, so obviously that makes sense to have this policy. But I think they also need to be applied with some flexibility when circumstances warrant it. In this particular case, we're talking about a project that fills critical needs in our community and comes from an organization working hard just to make it happen. So I believe there should be some room for a more affordable, balanced approach in this particular case. And so certainly from my perspective, I think there has to be an amount, but I'm comfortable with the 10% recommendation. That's my perspective. So questions, comments, members of council? Councillor Lauren?
We say 50% of the project. What's the actual cost that would be required for securities? 'Cause I didn't see that anywhere.
Monsieur Bourgon?
I can look it up. I don't have it in front of me right now.
Will we be able to get it before we make a decision this afternoon, this evening?
Yes.
Thank you.
Councillor Deakin?
I think it's in the 240 range, but I could be wrong. 240,000, excuse me. I'm thinking very similarly to you. I was speaking with the proponent earlier today, and she made the really good point that's not in the letter, that with this project advancing with funding from Canadian Mortgage Housing Corporation, there are significant requirements and stakes for that organization in delivering on this project already. So she just wanted, she had mentioned to me that extra point that ticking all the boxes of this project is already, there's already quite rigorous demand placed on that with the funding that they would be receiving to enable the project. I'm also thinking along the lines of the 10%, where some financial security is maintained so that we lower the possibility of a repeat situation where the project is not seen through to conclusion. I did want to ask administration, though, where does the 10% come from as an alternative? Why 10 and not 30, or, you know, if there was a reason for the 10% in recommendation B, or
Thank you.
option B, I should say.
Thank you, Councillor. Monsieur Bourgon?
Merci, Monsieur Maire. So when we deal with subdivisions, and the proponent of the subdivision goes with the route of a pre-servicing alternative, they are required a 10% letter of credit. So that's where we came up with the 10%. It's being used in other situation, and that's why we
Just
put
for-
it as an option
For
for
consistency.
council. And the letter of credit would be in the amount of 232,000. That's 50% of the cost of the site preparation.
The site preparation. So
which
just,
include pavement, curbs.
yeah, so just to clarify for anyone that's listening, it's not 50% of the project value, but really of the site preparation value, correct?
That's correct.
And that ensures that Township is protected should the proponent decide not to follow through with agreed site plan prescriptions. Just a quick follow-up on my side. From a practical perspective, once the proponent has done whatever they're supposed to do, they get their access to that money back, correct? They don't earn any interest during that period when we keep that money, or that guarantee, I should say.
No, so as soon as they're done the work, they ask for an inspection, and we release the amount of money.
Okay, and so technically afterwards, they could remove some of those conditions, i.e. remove parts that were required by us, and that doesn't, we have no control afterwards, correct? Okay. Councillor Deacon, sorry, follow up?
I just had the math still up here on my phone, so the 10% then would be 46,400, if I'm not mistaken, if council were to proceed with option B.
That sounds logical. I didn't do the math. Councillor Lauren?
I thought I just heard Mr. Bougon say it was 232,000 is the letter of credit requirement
For 50%.
for 50%. Does that mean, so 400, so 10% is 43, or 10%
No,
of the?
10%. That's a 50% requirement, so a 10% requirement would be 20% of that amount.
Okay. I was thinking 50%, or 10% of the total amount that was required, which was 232, which would be a
That's
23
Yeah,
or
that's correct.
24,000, but it's double that,
That's
is
correct.
what we're suggesting.
Yeah, that would be 10% of the value. Wait, 10% of 200, no, yeah.
Not 10% of the total value, so
Yeah, exactly, no, I'm getting confused.
46,000.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you. Thank you for the great calculation. Councillor Armstrong?
Having once been part of a project that did go off the rails in such a fashion where the developer actually left, in that case it was due to bankruptcy, but I agree with the 50%. I'm very reluctant to go below 50% and leave the township open to the problems that occur when you have a half-finished project, a hole in the ground in some cases, and that is very difficult for the township in general. So I'm leaning towards maintaining the 50%, the recommendation of the staff to maintain the 50%.
Thank you, Councillor. Conseiller Lalonde?
Yeah, I mean, this is a project that's well-known to us. Maison Interlude is well-known to us. It's a not-for-profit. I know we had an instance with another NFP some time ago. I don't consider them to be comparable for the most part in terms of this project delivering what I consider to be essential to critical services to the community. For me, it comes under the community wealth development, the numbers continue to rise for abuse, spousal abuse, or abuse in intimate partner relations. And to the comments made by Councillor Deakin, excuse me, of earlier, they're working with tight dollars and funding, and I think in this case, and in those circumstances, I mean, they're going to be bringing housing to shelter women, and there's a part of this project that also includes housing for adults with developmental disabilities, which we've discussed at length on the Accessibility Advisory Committee. So for those reasons, and for the reasons that they are already operating shelters of this type in other regions and have done well by them, their track record is well known on that. And because they have such high-profile funding partners who believe in this project as well, I think it's appropriate in this circumstance, and it's still an amount of $46,000, and based on their track record and their business plan, I don't have any difficulty making an exception here at the 10%.
Merci. I think getting a pulse from council here, I think we'll separate this item. All right, moving to item C. Que le Conseil reçoive le rapport CSAS-FS 2025-21 daté du 14 octobre 2025 et accuse la réception de la première ébauche du budget 2026 qui prévoit une augmentation de taxation municipale de 8,4 % et que les discussions supplémentaires auront lieu lors des sessions de travail prévues pour le 23 et 24 octobre 2025. So first of all, I'd like to thank staff for the work in preparing the 2026 budget, all the working papers. It's always a big part of the year, and it takes a lot of meetings, a lot of communication. And so just wanted to make sure that from a council's perspective, that's appreciated. So tonight, council is simply receiving this first draft. This is not a decision in receiving it. It's the beginning of our review process, and it represents an important step ensuring openness, accountability, and responsible financial management. So like many municipalities across Ontario, this draft, I think, reflects ongoing cost pressures, rising construction prices, inflationary impacts on contracts and wages, and the growing need to reinvest in aging infrastructure. A significant portion of the capital increase in this year's draft is tied directly to our asset management plan, the long-term strategy that ensures we maintain our roads, facilities, utilities responsibly, rather than deferring those costs to future taxpayers. I think it's important to note that for context, and it's in the package there, that each 1% increase in the township's municipal levy generates this year roughly $206,000 in additional revenue and translates to about $22.50 per year, roughly $1.90 a month for the average home. It's important to note as well that this refers only to the municipal portion of the property tax bill, not the total amount, which also includes the county and school board shares that are added above that. So as we move forward, our budget working sessions, as we presented here, are going to be on the 23rd and 24th. And I'd like to make sure that, again, as a council, that the expectations for council, that these sessions are really intended to focus on departmental priorities, service goals, and strategic direction, rather than a line-by-line review of every expenditure. So I would ask, and this is a typical process that we do, and just I would ask that each member of council take the time over the next 10 days to review the budget package thoroughly. Where clarification is needed, please don't hesitate to contact staff directly before our working sessions. That way, when we meet as a full council, our discussions can be productive, informed, and centered on outcomes, the why behind the numbers, rather than the fine print of each line item. So as we go through this process, we'll make sure we stay focused on three key points I think that are important: affordability, transparency, and long-term sustainability. I think if we use these principles to guide our decisions, I think we're well on our way. I would like to confirm, Monsieur Godin, Monsieur Dagenet, quand est-ce qu'on peut recevoir le full package pour commencer à travailler dessus?
Oui, bonsoir, Monsieur le maire et chers membres du conseil. Donc, on prévoit tout finaliser le budget brief et le package pour vendredi. Qu'on aimerait le distribuer vendredi par électronique. Puis si c'est un package papier, ben vous allez pouvoir passer le ramasser là, vendredi en après-midi. Si tout va bien, là, je devrais vous donner une mise à jour jeudi là-dessus.
Génial, bien apprécié. Autre commentaire sur le budget?
Vous avez très bien résumé le rapport. Là. Comme vous avez dit, on démontre une augmentation de taxation de 8,4 mais pendant les séances de budget de la semaine prochaine, l'administration vous présente aussi des stratégies pour pouvoir diminuer cet impact-là à la place qu'elle soit toute faite sur une année. Fait que je pense qu'il y a beaucoup d'efforts et de temps qui a été mis là-dedans pour qu'on puisse avoir des belles discussions là, la semaine prochaine.
Merci beaucoup et félicitations à votre équipe. On a bien hâte de s'embarquer dans le processus. Questions, commentaires, members of council. Any questions? Councillor Armstrong.
Or just a few things to keep me understanding what I'm reading here. What are revenues from specific functions? It's in Schedule A. There's a line item, it's the one...
I think that particular question unless you have the answer, Monsieur Dagenet, when you get the full package, it'll be all detailed.
It's just so that the public could also understand that as well. They won't get the full package.
Sorry, it's which line?
Revenues from specific functions.
So as Monsieur Dagenet looks, you're good?
No, I don't see it.
The fifth one down.
The fifth one down, yeah. After sewer billings.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we'll have to wait until
Yeah,
the
we'll
next week.
put
then.
that as a follow-up item.
Yeah.
Follow-up, Councillor Armstrong?
No, for the next one is for next week.
Okay. I expect lots of questions there.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Moving forward, Councillor Deakin.
Yeah, just with the schedules that were attached, I was thinking again in the mind of a member of the public. Schedules C and D were titled tax levy. Let me see. History of tax levy increase and history of tax levy increase versus inflation increase. I just find those titles to be very similar when they're actually quite different tables.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, the one is looking at growth attribution related to the revenues from tax levy increase, and Schedule D shows actually what the property tax implications for the levy were. So just a little piece that I wanted to point out in case there's a way to be more specific in the titles so that the average member of public would understand the difference.
Merci.
Yeah, for Schedule D, we'll have to rename that.
Merci.
Autre question ou commentaire, membre du conseil? Conseiller Armstrong?
Yeah, just one other question. You mentioned in I think Schedule D, you call it the Building Consumer Price Index. Is it the Building Consumer Price Index or the Non-Residential Building Construction Price Index? I was trying to find them on StatsCan's site, and I couldn't quite relate them.
I think we typically use the building.
It's the building, but we can share the
Yeah,
the
just,
analysis we did and the information.
we're going to see it in the DC charges anyway coming up, but it's just something that I was looking at that and saying I don't understand.
Okay.
Okay. That's it for me, thanks.
Councillor Lauren?
Yeah, there's a lot to digest, and I look forward to seeing the full binder come through, so we can make some reviews on that, and obviously I'll save many of my comments for next week.
Yeah. We're just receiving it, so that was the key. Okay, any additional last comments or questions? Merci, membres du conseil. Alors, on tombe à l'item D, item D, the council received report ASCL 2025-08, dated October 14th, 2025, and approved one, the proposed bylaw authorizing the use of internet and telephone as an alternative voting method for the 2026 municipal election and subsequent by-election in the following term of council, and two, authorize the clerk to sign and award a letter with VOATS, Canada Limited for the supply of an internet and telephone voting system for the 2026 municipal election that reflects the terms of the request for proposal. So telephone and internet voting, obviously this includes the walk-in option for our residents, as we've always done. Madame Camille Laflamme, anything to add?
Good evening, council members and Mr. Mayor. So yes, we're proud that we went through the RFP altogether, and we got two that went till the end. We opened the finance proposal, and this is the company that won the award. So that's what we're proposing to council, and all the clerks of the different municipalities are bringing this to their council this month as well, to be all done by the end of the month. And so that's a new company that we'll be awarding to. But you've seen in the report, I've added a bit of information on the provider. So everything looks good from our end. And yep, this is what we propose if you have any questions.
Merci. Si je comprends bien, la différence entre Internet seulement et Internet et téléphone, c'est une question de 5 sous par électeur, c'est ça?
Oui, qui
Ouais, c'est
fait
vraiment-
764.
Je comprends, mais en fin de compte, c'est bon d'avoir les deux options. Alors, je pense qu'on en avait
Vu que
parlé.
le conseil n'avait parlé avant.
C'est ça, exactement. Alors,
Ok,
je pense
c'est
pour la différence de prix, je suis content de voir ça. Question, commentaire, membres du conseil? Councillor Armstrong.
Just from the Canada Post, recent Canada Post interruption, is there an alternate plan to get the actual voter information to the voter if there is sometime a year from now another Canada Post strike, which may not be all that out of order?
Thank you, Councillor Armstrong. We can do it when we do our door-to-door. I'm just kidding. Madame Camille Laflamme?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, we saw this as well in the disaster plan and all the emergency plans. So it will probably be a cost on top of our contract or award letter, but it would be for any company, so to go other ways if
Yeah.
we have to, so, yes.
Okay, so it is being looked at as a
Yes.
risk mitigation factor.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Thank you. Okay, moving to item E, amendment request for the inclusion of the Diwali Festival of Lights in the Fireworks Bylaw 2021-075, report PIC 2025-22, that council receives this report dated October 14th, 2025, and approved as recommended in this report the fireworks bylaw amendment request. Madame Bourdeau, anything to add?
Good evening. I just want to state that it's in addition to the list of events where people can discharge fireworks. So it's Diwali is a festival of lights, and it's a cultural and religious celebration that fireworks is very much a part of. So.
Merci. So on October 5th, just for additional context here, I had the chance to participate in the Diwali celebration here in Russell. It was a great experience, and I applaud Bylaw for bringing this forward. Diwali, as mentioned in the report, is a celebration of light triumphing against darkness. And so it does normally include fireworks in the evening. And so I think it's a fair update. Questions and comments, members of council? Thank you. Alors, on tombe à l'item F, que le Conseil reçoive le rapport PIC 2025-23, daté du 14 octobre 2025, et approuve tel que recommandé dans ce rapport le règlement sur les agents de contrôle et d'audience. Anything to add to that, Madame Bordeaux?
Yes, so this is to appoint the screening and hearing officers for the AMPS program.
Okay, perfect. I had concerns around 3.3 in this, in the particular bylaw, and concerns around separation of power and the ability to reappoint and appoint successors for that role. So really around the independence requirement for this particular role. And so I do believe that that there is I will ask to separate this item and bring an amendment to it around fixing that 3.3. I don't know if you want to put up that 3.3 piece on there from the bylaw. And it's just that that position needs to have independence. And I think 3.3 reads, a hearing officer shall be appointed for such a period and subject to terms and conditions as may be determined by the director. And so that to me gives a little bit too much direct control for a position that needs to be completely unbiased. And so I think there is, and also the timeline, reappointment terms, and so on. So I think there was a discussion around a deferral. So we'll talk about that when we bring this item back. Any questions, comments, members of council? Councillor Armstrong.
I have another concern with 3.4 as I've read the acts again, and the no authority to consider questions relating to the validity of a statute, etc., only applies to section 102.1, which means parking, stopping, and standing. There's no such restrictions in the Municipal Act or regulations or in the Building Code Act to restrict the hearing officer from hearing those questions on other issues than parking, stopping, and standing. So I would move to amend 3.4 as well to restrict it to parking, stopping, and standing.
Madame Bordeaux, is that bylaw or is that position going to hear other cases or strictly on those related cases?
No, they will hear all offenses. But 3.4 states that they cannot hear questions in relation to the validity of the statute, not in reference to.
Oh, yeah, so the 3.4 argument is that they can only judge on whether they're meeting the statute or they're not meeting the statute, whether it applies or not is not. Is that correct? Am I understanding that correctly? Councillor Armstrong, follow up on that?
Yeah, but as I've read the bylaw, if I read the Municipal Act, the Building Code Act, and the Statutory Powers Procedure Act, except for where it is specifically accepted in law, not bylaw, then the hearing officer does have the power to hear those questions.
So where it's accepted by law, not by law, but is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, the bylaw can't restrict the hearing officer's powers. Only where it comes and is listed in the regulation or in the Municipal Act, Building Code Act, or Statutory Powers Procedure Act.
So I'm a little perplexed on that. I don't have the ability to make a comment on that. Councillor Deakin?
Can I have confirmation that this was discussed at the time that we did pass the AMPS bylaw? I believe that was
We
discussed.
discussed that
It's the
aspect.
same.
Approximately the same
Yeah.
issue, yeah.
Okay, Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, that actually clarifies it. I'm still going to ask to pull this item to address 3.3, and then we can look at addressing any other items on that. All right. Any other questions or comments on this item? So item F. Okay, moving to item G, Automated Speed Enforcement Program that council received PIC 2025-24 dated October 14th, 2025 for information purposes. Madame Bordeaux, anything to add?
Well, this is an update to the program, and at the present time, I think that we should, due to the comments from our premier and other statistics that we've seen, I think it would be prudent to wait and see the outcome of these procedures.
Merci, Madame Bordeaux. So thank you for the report. I appreciate the detailed assessment and the cautions that that the evidence-based approach here is pushing. Two aspects jump out at me. Obviously, the uncertainty around the legislative developments, but two, the lower than expected revenues for some of the smaller municipalities. And so it's still a substantial investment on behalf of this municipality. To see that the value of it, if it's costing money. So I'm okay with the recommendation to wait and see where this goes. Questions, comments, members of council? Councilor Lauren?
Yeah, I'm frustrated by the delay based on comments of potential legislative changes at the province level. Well, I know AMO is working hard to try and push this for community safety zones, which are specific to school zones. And I think that's the only place we were looking to put them anyway, was in those school zones. So I'm hoping that that our decision to delay at this point is strictly based on the comments from the province and not a financial impact, because we'd already gathered the financial impact on it, and we had approved the moving forward with the process, understanding all the cost implications. So I guess we'll wait for now, but my expectation is that for the safety of our community, and a lot of people have come to us asking us to make sure the roads are safe in their areas. I think this is one thing that we need to push through once there's certainty at the province level. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments? Councillor Deacon.
From my understanding, we're not deciding on whether to delay it or not. That is simply that this is an informational
It's an update.
report
That's
coming
correct.
from.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about the 2 points that you made, Mr. Mayor, on the province's rhetoric at this time and the local context that we should be considering. And I just want to say that I'm really grateful for all of the work that administration has done to come forward with very thoughtful, very detailed scoping out of what the financials would look like, where in our community we're most concerned about safety for children and people enjoying recreation and in those community safety zones. And if I may share my perspective along the lines of Councillor Lauren, it's work like this on the local level that tells the story of what we need. And I don't believe that the province would ever have a microscope down to our local level to be dictating to municipalities what is appropriate in our context for automated speed enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Armstrong.
Yeah, again, going into the safety issue, no disagreement with the requirement for safety in our school zones and other community safety zones. It's just, in this case, we may not get these automated speed enforcement So do we have any other options that we can look at and bring to council in the future for other ways to calm traffic in these zones? And have that planned out for us.
Monsieur Bourgon? Je vous mets sur le spot.
Mr. Mayor, so we already have in place a pedestrian safety plan that we identified a few years ago. Those areas where there's more protection or safety for pedestrians to be put in place. So that's a plan that's ongoing as well. From what I can understand from the province, there may be some funding coming along potentially to help us finance those implementation as well.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Laurie?
That's great that they mentioned potential funding for municipalities to deal with community safety in certain zones. However, a lot of the items that were mentioned or thrown about during multiple discussions that we've all heard on either TV, radio, and in person are all things that we've been told year after year after year at this table are not traffic calming measures, like speed bumps and speed humps and stop signs and stuff like that. And now it seems that, just because the province is going to decide that they don't like getting tickets in speed zones because they're going too fast, that, in safety zones, that now they are appropriate. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that all plays out, but, it's a little talking out of both sides of our mouths, and I'm kind of very confused over the whole scenario when, it's pretty simple that people driving through school zones should not be going over 50 kilometers an hour, and if you get a ticket, you damn well deserved it. So that's just my opinion on the matter, so.
Thank you. I don't think anyone's ever going to argue against any kind of safety for kids. That's the bottom line. It's how we end up there and what we're allowed to do. So thank you very much for the report. Any final comments on this item? No? Moving forward. Okay, moving to item H. The council receive report ISWATWW 2025-04 dated October 14th, 2025, and approve the water and wastewater financial model. So I'll start by saying I'm a little confused because it says receive the report and approve the report. So are you asking us to approve this report first of all, or are we just receiving it at this stage? Mr. Bourgon?
Merci, Monsieur Mayor. So it's to approve the model. So in the sense that the council, as the owner of the water system, acknowledge that the administration is using a tool to plan for financial over the next 5, 10, and 20 years. So it goes hand in hand with our AMP as well.
Okay.
And obviously, council will need to approve the budget yearly and establish the rates. But it's to acknowledge or to support the fact that we do have a tool.
The tool.
To plan for the future.
Okay, so based on that understanding, so I've got a couple of points, then we'll open it to council. So first of all, I applaud that we're doing this 20-year outlook. I think that makes sense. Anything in terms of long-term planning makes complete sense to me. In our AMP plan that we approved, I had a table that said 1.8 and 1.9% reinvestment for water and wastewater in that order, but I think in another one I saw it was just 1.8 for both. So can staff confirm, or Mr. Bourgon, can you confirm that your modeling that you put here actually funds those levels? If I look at 2026 as an example, if I do my math on there, the AMP funding is at about 1.29 for water and 1.26 for wastewater. So we're supposed to be at 1.8, 1.9. So just, are we shortchanging that AMP right off the bat, or am I missing something on that?
Well, I'll start by saying the council is approving the logic or the principle of the model. We will still be reviewing with the finance team to make sure that it lines up with the approved budget, and we will make the appropriate modification or adjustment for the future planification.
Okay, so the plan that's presented here tonight is not accurate, is what you're telling me.
Well, I
It-
guess
it doesn't
I'll
represent
ask,
that.
Monsieur Dagenet to,
I just want to confirm that I understand that.
What do you mean 1.8 million for the?
No, 1.8%, sorry. So our AMP that we approved, we had, on a table I had, was 1.8% reinvestment. Our AMP required a 1.8% reinvestment of the value of our water system.
So our annual requirements?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
It's, right now, when we presented the AMP 25, it was not approved. It was just a scenario. And by looking at the different data that was part of the AMP, all the facilities and the mechanical of the township was all in taxation. So there's some portion of the facilities that should be in our water and our sewer. So there's actually, like, we have to increase our annual requirements for water and sewer a little bit to, I guess, balance this. But by increasing the side of the user fee, we're decreasing the side for the taxation.
So the table, the models that were presented to us, I'm just trying to understand, so it was, say, 1.8% reinvestment, and this is 1.3% or 1.25%. Are you saying that additional amount where we're supposed to be going to collect to balance down the road is being collected somewhere else?
No. I'm not sure where you get your 1.8%, but our goal is to get to our level, our annual requirement in 10 years. So with this increase that we've put it into this model, we'll get there in 10 years. So it basically, we took the gap, we divided by 10 years, and it gave us the amount we need to raise every year.
Okay, I'm going to need to understand that better for budgeting anyways, and I'll come and see you where I got that 1.8%. Mr. Bogon?
well, true, Mr. Mayor, I was gonna add, like, I think everything that's really related to the budget, we can have that discussion next week.
Absolutely.
Tonight, the purpose is really to approve, like, the fact that we have a model in place.
Okay.
And that's for the requirement to renew our water license that's due at the end of the month.
Okay, je comprends. So I do have a couple of other little questions that will come back at the budget discussion. In this particular plan, I notice that we look at debt, because we have to cover debt. But I don't notice any new debt that we're bound to get as we move forward. And I understand that new supply-related debt will be addressed by DC because it's related to growth at 100%. But on the wastewater side, and we know that we have to invest on the wastewater side quite a bit in the coming years, where would that amount be in this model? I think that we need to account for that somewhere. I'm concerned that this model does not account for it.
That's correct, and the projected or new debt, it's not included. Certainly something that we can look into. In terms of the water model itself, which that's really the critical part of our model, since it's really for our drinking water license, there's no debt or
No, I
projected
get
debt
that.
for the existing
On the
user.
supply side, but on the
But
wastewater.
point thinking, I
yeah.
think it's something we could look into.
Because I think I would be very concerned that, because that is going to be a major aspect of that cost, new water treatment plant and so on. Mr. Bogon?
And yes, and there's also a strategy put in for start putting. money
Yes,
aside.
I saw that, absolutely. Okay. So the other aspect to this tool that I had a question on is, I assume that like any tool like this would be updated on an annual basis, correct? And so this is kind of gives us an idea where we're going, but with assumptions, for example, growth rate or supply cost from Ottawa. We don't have a crystal ball on that, so I assume that this particular outlook would be reviewed annually as part of a budgeting process. C'est bien ça?
Yeah, that's correct. And with that, I can add to council, we've been using that tool for the last almost 10 years. That we, with the actual numbers that we get at the end of the year, we get adjusted and we do that on an annual basis as well, just to make sure that we're always on the good track.
OK, merci. Question, conseillère Deacon.
Merci. So continuing with that thread, I just want to be very clear on what we're being asked to do. This model exists and has been in existence for 10 years. Has council been asked to approve this before, or?
Monsieur Bourgon?
Through Mr. Mayor, yes, council was asked to support and approve the water model in the past for a water license.
Okay.
So it's a requirement for that water
Yeah.
license, to have a plan.
To have a plan, to have a financial plan.
And that water license that you're looking to renew at the end of the month, that is for what duration into the future?
Monsieur
The
Bourgon?
license?
It's for a 5-year timeframe.
Okay.
So that gives you an idea when we last looked at this. The month before, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, I found your line of questions interesting, Mr. Mayor, because I have a lot of questions about the model, but I kind of was summarizing it into just that I'm feeling like I'd like more meat in the report itself, to know what assumptions are going into the model, to know what scenarios have been considered, for transparency and also for decision making and traceability as well, knowing what master plan is informing what historical data is informing what. So I'm trying at this point to say that I'd like the next time that a report like this comes, I would like to see, if we're using the metaphor of a tool, like I get that we're being asked to approve a tool, but I feel kind of like I have a blindfold on, and I can kind of feel the tool, but I don't really know all the ins and
Yeah.
outs of it. So I'm trying to balance that need that I have for more information with the urgency for the water renewal. And I'm going to stop there and see where the conversation goes. That's where I'm at.
So just to reconfirm, I'll be right with you, Councilor Lauren. At this point, we would just receive this for this tool to be used, but it doesn't limit us or require us in any way in terms of budget discussions.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
It's to support and approve the tool that the administration's using. It's not to approve the budget.
Okay. Councilor Lauren?
Would it make sense to add the word methodology at the end of the sentence? So the model methodology. I only say that because by saying we approve this model, to me says we're approving what you're
data.
doing and it's working. Understanding the methodology behind it is something that we're going to really need to focus on more as we get through the budget timeframe and whatnot, right?
But my only challenge there is that the methodology is still missing some of the important capital investments we have to make, so.
So then maybe we just receive that, we receive the report, and on the 27th, we get more information that's being asked, and we strike out the second part of the recommendation. Or the,
Again, council's not approving the budget.
Yeah, so it's just we're just
And
confirming.
And it's the same tool that we've been using over this. Like, I'm pretty sure it was in 2017, the first time that we approved such a tool.
Yeah, I wasn't here, so I can't tell you.
That just to show council that like all the rates or budget that was approved for water and sewer over all those years were based.
So I'm comfortable that this doesn't tie us to anything. It's a kind of look forward and something that I expect gets updated on a regular basis.
Exactly. It's to show the province that we are planning and we have something that looks more than just next year.
But what you're explaining there, if we approve this, we don't see this for another 5 years. Is that what you're saying?
Council will see it every year at the budget discussion.
So now we will start
Well,
using it.
and again, that's what we've used.
We have been using
every
it.
year.
Okay. And so there's a couple of points that came out on this report, the capital requirements coming up that are missing in that. and the additional insight into the report on where those numbers are coming from. Some of them could be extrapolated relatively simply, i.e. staffing levels and stuff like that. But AMP, for example, is a good example where this amount came from. And so adding to that data when it's presented, I think, is what Councillor Deacon's point was, in terms of being able to have that moving forward. Councillor Lauren, I see your hand still up.
Yeah, so the one question that I have that concerns me is that I look further out to the debt repayment that we have, and I'm assuming that's the water project debt? Is that, okay. Can someone explain to me how we go from $891,000 a year in repayment, and in 2 years we go from 891 to 450 something to 0, and the number increases? Our flat rate's going to increase? Yes. If you look on the last
Yeah, so
page,
the debt is gone.
Page 12 of 12.
I think does the AMP grow?
Well, if you're looking at the year 2040,
Mm-hmm.
the DC revenue is 721,000 because it's paying 81% of the loan.
Mm-hmm.
Then in 2041, the revenue from the DCs is 356,000 because that's the last year of the loan.
Okay. So why does the flat rate not go down when we no longer have to repay the loan?
Well, it does goes down from 396 to 392, and because there was a revenue from DC,
DCs, that's
it
no
was
longer-
not the flat rate paying for that loan. The flat rate was only paying 19% of that loan. The DC were paying 81%. So when that loan's finished, it's not the full 100% that we're saving.
Okay,
The
so
flat rate is not saving 100%.
so 20%, a 20% savings in year one is $4, and then the next year we go but right back up to 396, which is what we were paying, and then back to 400 and above, and the resident never sees that savings for repaying the loan?
Well, he sees a savings of $4 from 2040 to 2041, and he sees another savings of $4 from 2041 to 2042. And then in 2043, it comes back up $4 because I just added inflation in there. Like it's in 2043.
At that rate, yeah.
It's,
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'm comfortable if we move to the point where we use the term, I think, methodology, that we approve the methodology. The data will be kind of reviewed for our budget sessions. Does that make sense for you, Mr. Bourgon?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah? So we'll pull item H, I think, and we'll use the term methodology. Thank you for the recommendation there, Councillor Lauren. Any other questions or comments on this item? Merci. All right, this is a tough one. This next one is really tough. Mise à jour sur le complexe récréatif. Alors que le Conseil reçoive le rapport d'information PA 2025-11 daté du 14 octobre 2025. Before I turn it over to Madame Guittard, I just want to congratulate you and your whole team for the amazing work, and the whole staff team for the work on this so far. Right now, I want to highlight some of these key points that jump out at me. So we're at about 46% complete of the project. We remain on track for a fall opening. It's moved a little bit. We're in October 26. Financially, this update is extremely encouraging. So the $10 million provincial grant reduces our borrowing needs and saves us nearly $7 million in interest over the life of the loan. We've also seen stronger development charge revenue and additional savings from our 2.99% construction loan, which was originally forecasted at 5.42%. So bringing the total project cost down from 104.3 million to 102.3 million, and reducing our borrowing from our planned 79.9 million to 66.4 million. So that's amazing news. So overall, the project is under budget. Our debt ratio at the time we take the full loan will now be below the 15% self-imposed internal threshold. And if I look at the contingency so far, and I don't want to, applaud too loud yet, but we're only at 20% of the contingency used so far. So to me, that's a testament to good financial control. And if I look at other projects like that in terms of the span of the project where we're at, I understand there's still a lot of unknown variables. We're not even halfway through, but we're trending in a very positive direction. So again, a sincere thank you to Madame Guittard and the entire team that's involved on this for the outstanding work in managing this project with precision and transparency. Madame Guittard, anything to add?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, and I do want to echo your thank yous to the whole team, because this was really a team effort for the last, I would say 6 years, because we've been through many delegations. We've been asking many times. So we were successful in receiving this very nice grant, and we were very happy with the outcome of this nice grant. I can say that. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, just to remind everyone, we are in very challenging economic times. And, to have results like this right now is very positive. And I understand, I'm not naive enough to believe that this is going to be like that for the rest of the project. There's a lot of uncertainty still on the way, but certainly the guidance that's been going in right now is showing some very positive results, and some of the timing and everything else is extremely positive. So congrats to the whole team. Councillor Lauren.
Have we factored in the 2026 budget, the requirement to open both arenas from August to November for Emblem and September through November, I would assume, for Russell, and what that impact's going to be?
Madame Guittard.
Thank you, members of council, and Mr. Mayor, through you. Yes, it's already in the operational, because they've always been in there. We have not changed anything for 2026, just in case, so they're both in there for both arenas.
Thank you. Any other follow-up?
So then, will the recreation complex costing be in there from an operational perspective from November and December, or mid-October, November, December?
Madame Guittard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Yeah, that was already accounted for with the finance team.
Follow-up?
So I guess the question to be asked then is, what would the additional cost be to leave them open then the rest of the year, since you started the year with them? I mean, that's something that we're going to have to look at as well. And you don't usually do any type of building, tear down, anything like that in the winter anyway. So what would that cost look like? Staffing, materials, obviously the Zambonis and stuff like that. So those are all things to consider as we move forward too.
Madame Guittard, I do believe that right now for the 26 budget, although I haven't seen it in my own eyes, the plan is to have them open till December 31st, the end of fiscal, right? That's how it's planned.
Depending on when we transfer
Of course.
everything on at the complex, obviously, because we need resources like staff and Zambonis, so we can't be operating the 3 ice at the rec complex and the 2 other ice. We only have 1 spare Zamboni, so that might be an issue at one point. So we will have to look at that closer to when we get there, if it's the intention of keeping those 2 arenas operational for the rest of the season, 26-27.
Mr. Godin, I do believe we are going to be having this strategic discussion in terms of those facilities at some point in the very near future.
Merci, Monsieur Maire. The strategic discussion on the future of the current arenas?
Yeah, the current space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that coming after the end of the rec master plan, or will that be before that?
We'll be coming to council, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. We'll be coming to council before that. So works are going to be done parallelly while we do the master plan, as well as to study the different options. We don't want to limit ourselves to recreational services, but we want to really look at it broadly to see what we can do with those extra assets. So some works will be done conjointly or at the same time as we finalize the master plan. So you won't have to wait.
And it's fair to assume that what Councillor Lauren just brought up in terms of possibility of staying open longer and stuff like that will all be in the considerations at those discussions, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, merci. Councillor Deakin.
This is a really exciting report. I know that there were a lot of residents wondering and contacting me, what does this mean? What does the grant mean for the project? Similar question to Councillor Lorrain, but concerning Salle-Camille Pichet. I assume that there are bookings still happening up until December 31st, at the very least, 2026?
Madame Guittard.
Thank you, Mr. Member, members of council. Yeah, we had decided to keep all the bookings at the Camille Pichet until December 31st, 2026,
Okay.
just to be on the safe side.
Okay.
And if it would have been a matter of just transferring them to the new hall, this is what we would have done.
Oh, okay.
So nobody will be disappointed.
I need to know where I'm going for my New Year's Eve party, so this is important. Councillor Deakin,
I'm asking
follow up.
questions over here. In the report, I did notice a discrepancy that I just wanted to clarify for myself. Under reduced borrowing requirements, it points to a 25-year loan term. And then under improved debt repayment ratio, it mentions a 30-year term. So I think it's really important when we're looking at the good news stories that we're actually clear on those numbers. So can I get clarification, like why are we looking at two different terms in the report, and is one of them more accurate?
I would venture to say that depending on the rates at the time that we take the full loan, but Monsieur Dagenet,
It's a mistake in the title, so it's a 25. All the analysis we did was on a 25-year term.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you for pointing that
That's
out.
really good to know. There was just one more thing that I noticed in the risk rating table regarding contingency. It didn't look like there was contingency in place in that table on line 66. Am I misreading that, or does that need to be updated?
Monsieur Dagenet, est-ce qu'on peut montrer la line 66? Je suis pas sûr c'est où dans le rapport.
C'est c'est le schedule.
Madame Guittard, vous avez
Ah.
quelque chose à rajouter?
Oui, le complex.
Thank you, Mr.
risk
Mayor, members of
register.
council. So I've talked to the consultant, and what they've told me, they've put the contingency all at the same place, not with the client responsibility. So the contingency is all added at the end. So that's why, but unfortunately, the way the system is done, it picks it up as a risk. So, but it's part of the contingency at the end. So there's no problem there.
So it's
there
accounted
is a
for.
contingency, yeah.
Councillor Deakin, does that clarify it, or?
Well, it's like red alert, high
I know.
risk. So I would just,
Yeah.
if there could be a little asterisk explaining that, I'd feel a lot better in terms of
Public document?
accountability to the
Yeah.
public. Thank you.
So for the
Merci.
next report, I'll ask him to clarify that. Thank you.
Merci. Thank you, Councillor Deakin. Any other comments or questions on this item? Councillor Lalonde.
Yeah, I just want to go back to the beginning of the paying proper recognition to staff, all members of staff, and Madame Guittard. When we talk about the $10 million grant, it's not as if it just got dropped in as a Christmas present. It's the result of a lot of hard work on the part of staff to chase those grants down, to put the resources towards it that were required, including the help of the consultant. A lot of hard work there to get that $10 million gift. So I just wanted to emphasize that really is the result of a lot of hard work and research on the part of staff. The other comment I want to make is in relation to, what happens to the arenas after December 31st. Whether they should continue to think that we might have five arenas operating or 5 ice surfaces operating after December 31st, or not. I'm glad to hear that it will be looking at recommendations on that before maybe the master plan itself is shared with us, because I think we're going to have to make decisions sooner on what happens after December 31st than maybe the master plan will afford us. Thanks.
Merci, conseiller Lalonde. Autres commentaires? Je n'en vois pas. On avance au prochain. Alors, on s'en va à l'item J. Plan d'action pour répondre, que le Conseil prenne reconnaissance du rapport FIRE 2025-06 daté du 14 octobre 2025 à titre d'information. Chief, I've got a few questions to ask on this, but before we start asking questions, anything to add?
Thank you, Your Worship and members of Council. So good evening. Back in May of 25, Council received 3 documents: the Fire Department Organizational Review, the Building Condition Accessibility Assessment Report, and the Public Engagement Session results. Together, these reports outline several recommendations regarding the Township's fire service levels, facility needs, and opportunities to align with best practices and emergency response. At that time, Council requested staff to develop an action plan outlining the different service options to address these recommendations. So this evening, we are pleased to present for your consideration the Fire Department Organizational Review 2025 Action Plan. The organizational review did provide a roadmap for improvement and recommended 4 steps. These steps, along with their projected costs, are summarized within the action plan. The plan outlines various service level options for Council to consider, either maintaining the current model with limited additional costs but potential service gaps, implementing phased improvements to staffing and facilities, or adopting best practice standards through more significant investments in personnel and infrastructure. Each option includes the associated financial implications and reflects the Township's anticipated growth, along with projected increase in emergency responses. Costing for steps 1 and 3, as well as option 1 for step 4, has been included in the first draft of our 2026 budget. In closing, the Fire Department Organizational Review 2025 Action Plan represents an important step forward in planning for the future of the fire service within the Township. It provides Council with options to guide decision-making as we continue to balance community safety, operational effectiveness, and fiscal responsibility. On behalf of the Russell Township Fire Services, I want to thank Council, the CAO's office, the Treasurer, and staff for their ongoing support and collaboration throughout this process. We look forward to Council's feedback and direction as we move into the 2026 budget discussions. And having said that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, Your Worship, and that members of Council may have.
Thank you, Chief. So I've got a few questions. So if I look at option 1, we're looking at hiring a 10-hour weekday truck Monday to Friday with 5 full-time, 4 FFS. What are those again? Sorry, I wrote myself a note and I don't remember what that means.
So option 1 is, Your Worship, is for 1 truck with 4 firefighters. 10 hours a day.
Okay, great.
On a
Thank
4-day
you.
work week.
So total of 5 full-time firefighters, total of 8 volunteers on home duty, and that represents, the one that's being recommended represents about 500,000 investment in 2026. Is that correct? 490 some odd thousand?
490, correct.
That's at the staffing model. The whole costing of the package is much higher than that, but we've already invested partly into that direction, correct?
That's correct, because we currently have 2 full-time staff that are operational firefighters plus other duties.
Okay.
So the plan would include for 2026 3 additional staff to meet that because of the 4-day work week. Okay.
So if I look at the first draft of the budget, roughly that ask represents about 2.42% of the 8.4% that's being asked, that 500,000. So I want to kind of just put that out there. That's a major ask in terms of costing for the township. Obviously, safety and security are key, And so my next question for you is, the NFPA 1720 is a performance goal, not a legal requirement. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. The report states a lot of times that we're not meeting this requirement. So there is no legal obligation for one to meet this requirement? And two, what are there, obviously the more resources we put at fire or police, the more safe our environment becomes. There's no argument there. But are we now not meeting like safety requirements regardless of this NFPA 1720?
So, Your Worship, good question. It's a recommended guideline internationally across North America that the fire services use as a base guideline. So based on our needs and circumstances and our risks in our municipality, we evaluate the risk and how to respond to those risks. So looking at the overall, for example, right now, if we were to follow that 6 firefighters in 14 minutes for the rural side based on the density, we're looking at probably 44% that we're responding to meet that requirement out of the 80%. So as we look at best practices, okay, how can we take steps to increase to make it a little bit more safer for the community when we're looking at the response times?
Okay. So it's not a legal requirement, but it is to improve safety based on the response times.
Correct.
Okay. So what you're telling us in this report is if we move to something like option 1, we will have measurable improvements in response and safety around the clock, like during the week.
Not totally around the clock. It would be the Monday to Friday. So that's where we were seeing that 70% of our calls are that Monday to Friday. So we're looking at, making the first step. Obviously, the best step would be to have full-time firefighters around the clock, which is not financially feasible at this point in time, right? So if we're looking at we're taking the baby steps, Monday to Friday, we could increase to that 40%, 51%, if we were to increase the daytime staffing. So that would mean all the firefighters in one station that could respond within the municipality within that 14 minutes time frame, Monday to Friday from 7 to 5 in a 10-hour window.
So in terms of measurable results, that particular option would still leave a gap outside of those times. Like, so let's say at 2 o'clock in the morning, we wouldn't meet that minute requirement that's in this NFPA. Yeah.
Yeah, Your Worship. So we could. It's our current model. So after 5 p.m. and weekends, our current model is trying to meet that 6 and 14 minutes. And as you can see from the tables through history, daytime and weekdays and Saturdays is where we're struggling to have that staffing model met. Evenings, we're closer to, we do meet it. Not at 80% of the time, just depends on the time when the call comes in.
Okay, and then for the weekends, the response is the paid volunteer, like scheduled volunteer times, correct?
Yeah, so what we did this summer was a pilot program for the weekends,
On duty.
where on-duty crews, where we had the firefighters were still staying within the township or within their district or at home, to guarantee a response of 4 firefighters per station to respond. We were just doing that through a trial, and that's the results that shows you there that we had from this summer.
That's the term home duty?
Yes.
Okay, and so the option 1 has 8 volunteers on home duty. That covers the weekend to increase the level of response rate there.
Just for the summertime, though, not all year round.
Okay, so the 500,000, and again, we'll go through this. I just want to make sure that I understand. That 500,000, that 8 volunteer home duty is just for the summer where it's the most challenging because everyone leaves on weekends.
Exactly, so
Okay.
from May to October.
Okay, a couple more points and I'll open it up to council. Have you modeled what happens if we simply improve the volunteer scheduling in terms of that home duty process, like throughout the whole week? Have we modeled that option?
I have not modeled that specific option.
Okay, I'll be interested in seeing that when we get to the budget discussions, just giving you a heads up. That coupled with automatic aid as an option to hiring full-time, I'm just a little bit wary of the financial investment. And so I'm just giving you a heads up when we come to budget, that's going to be a challenging one for me. Yeah, so I'll leave it at that. Questions, members of council? I had Councilor Lauren.
Well, the report suggests or requests 3 new full-time throughout Monday to Friday. At the current rate that we're going, we see whatever the results are based on the modeling. Is there the ability to phase in those 3 FTE? So 2026 getting one, 2027 getting a second, 2028 getting the third, and then therefore you are at full staff request at that point in time?
Correct, Your Worship,
Okay.
Ms. Councillor Lorraine. So we, working with finance, we did do it, say if we did everything now in 26. It is technically 2 full-time FTEs. We currently have a vacant position right now for an administrative assistant, which we would modify that position to include firefighting duties. Currently, that position does not have firefighting duties. So that position still has to be backfilled, which is in our current 2025 budget. So it's 2 positions with a modified, yes, 3 FTEs at the end of the day. However, we did put it over that 4-year of taxation, and I guess Mr. Dagenet could explain that better than I could, how they calculated it over 4 years. So if we do everything up first in 2026 versus individually over 4 years.
Monsieur Dagenet?
Yes, well, by hiring all the position in 26, it provides the amount of service the department wants to is targeting. So that's why we brought this strategy over, and by adding all these positions and by using we have an HR reserve, we call, so if ever at the end of the year there's a surplus into our payroll that was budgeted, we put it in that reserve. If at the end of the year there's a deficit, then we can go in that reserve and supply that deficit. So by using that reserve, we can mitigate, I guess, the impact on taxation. So instead of having an increase of 1.75% in the 26 budget, it could be an increase of 0.058% throughout the 4 year.
Just a clarification, the percentage you're talking about, it represents the full 500,000, or the 500,000 includes every aspect of the ask?
The
You're just talking about full-time staff, correct?
It's the full-time staff and the volunteer staff.
Because there was an amount of 498,000.
Yeah.
That amount, if I look at the fact that 1% is worth 206,000, that comes up to 2.24%.
The reason I'm saying 1.75% and is there's already one EFT that's already approved. So that was part of the 25 budget. So I cannot say that in 26 we're
It adds to
increasing
that.
of 2.5% because there's already an EFT that's approved. It's in the budget. So.
Okay, so I guess the clarification should be on the report side, it's an additional X amount of dollars, not a total of 500,000. Like we do not have control over $500,000 expense request here because we've already approved that position. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
yeah.
Go ahead, Councillor Lauren.
So as part of the 8.4% increase, are you saying that based on what you've done, that only 0.58 of the 8.4 is impacted by our decision? Or is it 1.75?
It's 1.75.
It's 1.75.
Yeah.
But if we did want to phase it in, we could phase it in at 0.58?
Yeah. So we could bring, this would bring the 8.4 to 7.15.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
I look forward to seeing all those options. That's exciting. By the time you're done with your magic, I won't say anything. Councillor Deacon.
Thank you. As this conversation was progressing, I just was still stuck at a very early point, which was all of those numbers that we're just discussing. Is that option one or is that modified option one? Like what we're seeing in the draft, is that option one or is that modified option one?
Monsieur Dagenet, je pense que dans le rapport, on parle d'option 1, puis après ça, il y a une modifiée option 1. Je pense qu'il est hybrid là-dedans.
Mais les chiffres desquels on parle?
Ouais.
If I may, Your Worship, members of
sure, Chief,
council,
sorry.
Councillor Deacon, yeah. So we're saying the modified because in the report, they had asked to place 2 firefighters on Saturdays in the station. So that was, we had done that in 2023 and 2024, just on long weekends, and it was proven difficult to put volunteers in a station for 8 hours or 9 hours on a weekend. We did it like the Saturday, Sunday, Monday of the long weekends, because the feedback we received from our members was that, we're gone all week and now you want us to go sit at the station and do duties and whatnot, but we haven't seen our family all week. So that's why we did the duty crew over this past summer. So we would like to do the duty crew again next summer. Therefore, that's the modified portion of what the recommendation was of the report.
Thank you, Chief. Councillor Armstrong.
A couple of things, but the first one is, I've noticed that in your report, the number of incidents per person has been increasing. So the actual number of call-outs has been increasing faster than our population growth. Why is that?
Chief?
Your Worship, Councillor Armstrong, I wish I had my crystal ball to give you that answer. We have occasionally the winter storms, call volume increases, then we don't have a winter storm maybe. Maybe one season we had 2 storms with a lot of call-outs. In 2023, we had the ice storms in Russell, which accumulated to 25 incidents within 6 hours. We had calls out. So it's just this roller coaster that we're doing constantly.
Follow up, Councillor Armstrong?
Yeah, following that then, what are the chances, have you modeled the chances of us having multiple major incidents, concurrent major incidents, due to just simply the probability from the number of incidents that we have with our population growth size?
Chief?
Your Worship, Councillor Armstrong. Yeah, so it is a strong possibility. Knock on wood, it hasn't happened, and I hope it doesn't happen. It could happen also that we're potentially working with our neighboring municipalities on a mutual aid call, and we've sent resources over there and we'd have to call them back. So there is possibilities that we could have multiple calls of significant issues.
And the same argument goes that mutual aid could be supporting us as well, right?
Correct. So, Your
in
Worship.
those instances.
Yeah, so mutual aid is when we've exceeded our resources in our municipality. We can ask our neighbors to come and assist us.
And just to confirm, we have those agreements in place now.
That's correct, Your Worship. We do have a Prescott-Russell mutual aid system with the whole county. Plus, we have automatic aid with VARS and also Limoges directly.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Councillor Lord.
As part of the question was just asked about why the increase, is there any changes to the reasonings as to why firefighters would be sent to a call, whether traffic accident, paramedic, or something like that we have in our fleet that deployed them at the same time as other services or instead of other services where we didn't go before? Were any of those changes made throughout the last little while that could account for any of that? Because I know that we go on different calls now where sometimes it's just us that go instead of ambulance and whatnot. Is that part of the equation?
Chief?
Great question, Your Worship, Councillor. So that protocol has not changed. So we're still using the same agreement with EMS since 2015, I think was the last one that was signed. So we're still going to the same type of call out for EMS and also for police. So, you know, sometimes you'll see a motor vehicle collision and we're not there because it was a low impact or did not meet the criteria for us to be called out. So, because we do get calls and people are like, why aren't you here? Well, because EMS never called us. So when someone calls 911 for a motor vehicle accident, it goes to OPP and 911 first, and then OPP gets dispatched, then it goes over to EMS, and then EMS, if they need us, they dispatch us. So we're the third one in the call out, for example, for a motor vehicle collision. But if you call 911 saying I have a fire, then it comes directly to us.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? My last question to confirm my understanding. In May, when the report came to us, there was discussion of a survey results. Those results were very positive, if I remember correctly. Is that accurate? So satisfied with the service levels at this stage?
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
thank you. Okay, thank you very much, Chief. Given that we've been sitting for an hour and a half, I'm going to take a pause for the cause and take a 5-minute break. So we'll resume in 5 minutes. Thank you. Alors, c'est bon, on est de retour. Alors, on était à l'item 4, Madame Camiré-Laflamme. L'item K. 4, j'ai dit K, c'est ça? C'est à bonne place? Avant que je décolle? Oui, c'est bon. OK. Alors, que le Conseil reçoive la recommandation 2025-04 datée du 1er octobre du Comité consultatif sur la communauté, la diversité, l'équité et l'inclusion concernant l'allocation d'un budget pour entreprendre la planification d'un événement de développement du leadership à l'occasion de la Journée internationale de la femme. So this is a request to add $1,000 for the CDEIC for 2026 for leadership development. Anything to add, Councillor Deakin? As the chair.
This aligns with the committee's KPIs, one of which is to foster and support affinity-related events related to diversity, and so I will be asking to pull this one, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
So if I may, Councillor Deakin, I would there's a few of these coming up. I think that these are ideally discussed at budget time, and I'll leave it up to you if you want to pull them, but I think us receiving them will add them to the list of requests so that we can address them during the budget discussions, if that makes sense, but I'll leave that up to you because there's a few of these.
Yep, if that's administration's understanding as well, I won't pull it.
Monsieur Godin, does that make sense from, because there's a few of these coming up?
Merci, Monsieur Mayor. Yep, that makes sense. All of these budgetary requests are going to be included for the budget working sessions next week.
Excellent, thank you. Councillor Lauren?
As part of that budget session, have we created a special line item for committees like we discussed at one of our previous meetings? And would this fit into that category? Because I fully support it. I just want to make sure know where the money's coming from and whether that's been done.
Monsieur Dagenet?
Yes, in the draft that was presented tonight, there is a $25,000 line item under council.
Thank you.
So we will be able, at budget time, to kind of...
Decide how you want to distribute.
Excellent, excellent. Great work. Thank you very much. That makes sense. Councillor Deakin? Councillor Lauren?
Yeah, so question now from a budgetary perspective. I know I'm going to go off the rails a bit, but will that 25,000 be there every year then if we're putting it into if we put that into the budget? Therefore, if we don't spend all in one year, it just accumulates as a reserve in that amount. So if we spend half of it, then the following year there'll be 37.5 in there. It'll be 25 for that year plus the carry forward of 12.5.
Monsieur Dagenet?
Yeah, yes, so we could, if there's some money left, we could create a reserve, and then the surplus could go there, and then the following year, you would have the 25 plus whatever is in the reserve.
Or council could decide
Thank
to
you.
reduce it or whatever, yeah. Okay, thank you. So that's item K. Moving to item I, a similar, L. Pardon. The council received recommendation 2025-05 dated October 1st, 2025 from the Community Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Advisory Committee with respect to expanding the bilingual accessibility of open council meetings. So this is a fair recommendation to help residents access council information. So the ask, I think, in this one is so that we look at options to provide something like simultaneous translation through technology, or to provide information on how residents could do that. Councillor Deakin, I'll let you speak to that.
Yep, you said it well. The two sides, how do we improve bilingual accessibility here in the room? Are there hardware or software tools to be looked at? And the second one was, it's quite incredible what is available right now on live streaming and in perpetuity on recordings on YouTube. So just making sure that we're exploring ways to make sure that residents know how to use these tools and that they are accessible to them. Not just in Canada's official languages, English and French, but also other languages. And there was some discussion as well about accessibility beyond language for those hard of hearing as well.
Yeah, definitely that technology is there, and so the one point is how we can help educate or provide information on how they can access that
It's the two.
technology. Formidable. Oui.
So I would be asking to pull this one for council to not only receive but approve the recommendation.
Councillor Lauren?
By approving the recommendation, would we be directing staff to
Yes.
look at, to research information? Or does that mean we're
Is that committing?
committing to a dollar amount of funds to actually do that?
Monsieur Godin?
Merci, Monsieur Maire. That's a good question, Councilor Lauren. The way I read it, it's not committing any investment, but it's committing that we're going to look into it to see what's feasible and what's appropriate for the township. From an administration's perspective, I do know we have a few projects ongoing that kind of touches council chambers, that kind of touches on engagement. I don't know that this fits in there, but we can definitely look at this, and I can check in with the team as far as how do we attack this? Do we include this in the 2026 business plan, or is this something that already fits into our 2025 projects? So I would probably suggest that we would come back with a follow-up as far as how we will address this. But to answer your question, I don't see it as a financial commitment.
Alors, Monsieur Godin, ce que vous me dites, c'est qu'on n'a pas besoin de retirer cet item-là pour vous donner cette direction?
Merci, M. Manon. Je recommanderais quand même que vous retiriez
Ouais.
pour voter officiellement sur la direction.
Alors, Madame Camille Laflamme, item L, pas I, L. Qu'est-ce qui vient après L? C'est le M. That council receives recommendation 2025-06 dated October 1st, 2025 from the Community Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Advisory Committee with respect to the committee's key performance indicators. Councillor Deacon?
So as indicated, this is sharing for informational purposes in that aspect of our committee work, which is ensuring that there is communication happening between committee chairs on the work at each respective committee. And it's an opportunity for me to say that this committee is similar to the Teen Advisory Committee later on, is looking to round out the term. We're looking into the final year of work, and I think the number of recommendations that we have before tonight show that we're making real progress on reaching those KPIs and objectives. Just want to take the opportunity to thank the volunteer committee members who are participating in these meetings, bringing their perspective. I hope that they find this report back meaningful in terms of the amount of investment they're making of their time and effort, and also reflecting back to the administration, thanks for the staff who are also supporting this committee work in and out.
Thank you, Councillor Deacon. Lots has been accomplished. Congratulations on the work of the committee and under your chairmanship. I think it's fantastic, so congratulations to you. Anything to add, members of council, on this? No? Moving to item N, that council receives recommendation 2025-07 dated October 1st, 2025 from the Community Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Advisory Committee with respect to a bystander intervention training. So this is to receive the recommendation to endorse bystander training, so I definitely will support that. You'll notice on that recommendation that I'm listed on there. I attended that particular meeting, and so I'm definitely happy to support that. Councillor Deacon, anything to add?
Thank you for that support, Mr. Mayor. This was a discussion that has been come back to that committee a few times as the committee is grappling with issues of harassment in the community and looking at ways to support community members to support one another when violence does occur online and in person. This one, similar to item L, looking to receive and approve the endorsement or the recommendation. I would suggest pulling it again for that purpose.
Okay, so Monsieur Godin, if I look at that, endorsing the training, is this need to be pulled?
Merci, Monsieur Maire. I think by pulling it and by approving it, it would it would further emphasize council's endorsement of the initiative. So you might want to go that road to kind of officialize that from a council's perspective.
Okay, if I look at the recommendation, so recommendation, motion to recommend that Russell Township endorse bystander intervention training. It's in the recommendation already, is it not? The endorsing?
Not in the resolution.
Not in the resolution. Okay. So we'll pull item N. Councillor Deakin?
Sorry, I just felt I should provide a little bit more context to say that this was an endorsement from the committee, as there are discussions starting to happen at a county-wide level for a regional initiative for bystander intervention training. I don't think I was clear on that earlier.
Thank you. So we will pull item N, Madame Camille. We got our work cut out. This is going to be fun. Moving to item O. Recommandation que le Conseil reçoive la recommandation 2025-01 datée du 2 octobre du comité consultatif des adolescents concernant une demande budgétaire 2026 pour l'initiative Notre vote, notre avenir. So this is similar to the previous budget request, if that's okay with you, Councillor Deakin. This is for $800 towards a program, Our Vote, Our Future, and that will be added to budgetary requests. Anything to add on that from a staff perspective? We're good to put that on the list. Anything to add from a council member perspective, Councillor Deakin?
I would just like to give a shout out to Lillian Reed, who is a young member of the Teen Advisory Committee, very passionate about civic engagement, who developed the presentation that appears in the council package. And a shout out as well to her fellow committee members who wholeheartedly supported this undertaking, that it should be the focus of their effort in the lead up to the 2026 municipal elections.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Lauren?
Do you know if there are other committees similar to this in the United Counties of Prescott Russell? Because I would suggest that we also, as part of this, also send this to the other councils for endorsement as well. I think this project is amazing, and I think that the youth engagement at 21%, if we can get that up across the municipality and across the region, I think that's a huge step, and maybe sending that presentation to them would be something that we should do. But anyway, I don't know if there are other things like that, but I would suggest sending that to the other municipalities for review and potential endorsement.
So great idea, Councillor Lauren. Councillor Deakin, if that is of interest, I can certainly open some doors at the county level, and I'm sure there would be some interest there.
I would be happy to champion the socialization of the project
Okay.
in any way.
Thank you. Excellent. Moving to item P. That council receives recommendation 2025-02 dated October 2nd, 2025 from the Teen Advisory Committee with respect to receiving the committee's annual key performance indicators evaluation update. So once again, excellent work, Councillor Deakin, with this committee. Comments to add before the questions, Councillor Deakin?
Nothing to add.
Thank you. Questions, comments, members of council? Thank you. Moving to item 12, a report from an investigator or ombudsman, we have none. Item 13, notice of motions, we have none. Item 14, question period on meeting of the day. Any questions on the meeting of today? No? Okay, so Madame Camille Laflamme, j'ai pas besoin de lire toutes là, si on a personne qui veut. OK. Good. Et puis avant que j'aille au prochain numéro, avant que j'aille juste à la bonne place. 14, 15. OK, c'est beau. Je pense qu'il me manque une page. Résolution. Avant que j'aille à la résolution, je veux juste confirmer qu'on a l'item B, F, H, L, M. All right, let's see what we can do with that. OK. So, moving to item 15, motion that council approve all recommendations listed on the agenda under item 11, reports from departments and council committees. I need a mover seconder to put this on the table. Moved by Councillor Armstrong, seconded by Councillor Lauren. Question, comments? We are going to be removing items B, F, H, L, and N as in Nancy. Proposed amendment to remove these items is moved by Councillor Lauren, seconded by Councillor Deacon. Call for the vote, pardon me, to remove the items. All in favor? And passed. Thank you very much. So far, so good. So motion that council approve all recommendations listed on the agenda under item 11, reports from departments and council committees with the exceptions of items B, F, H, L, and N. And I'll call for the vote. All in favor? And passed. Pas pire jusqu'à date, hein? OK. Là, on va retourner à l'item. Deux petites secondes. Okay, we'll start with item B. So that council receive report PD 2025-43 dated October 14th, 2025, and deny the request for an exemption for the requirement to provide financial securities in relation to the site plan control file D11-161. So questions, comments, or amendments? I will propose an amendment to reduce the amount or to approve it with a reduced amount of 10%. Does that make sense? Monsieur Bourgon, de votre côté, c'est... Ouais. So there's an amendment on the table. I need a seconder. Seconded by Councillor Deacon. I'll call for the vote on the amended item. C'est bon? Je peux le caller, oui. All in favor of the amendment? And passed. Do I reread the whole thing with the
Did we
10%?
put the main motion on the table?
Yeah.
Okay. That was from you, Mr. Mayor, and,
Me and
oh, I missed that one.
Councillor Deacon.
Okay, thank you.
C'est bon?
Mhm.
So we've approved the amendment. We have to vote as amended now, c'est ça? All right. So I need so that council receive report PD 2025 dated October 14th and approve the request for an exemption for the requirement or a reduction for the requirement to 10%. And to provide 10% for financial securities in relation to site plan control D11-161. And I need that moved by Councillor Lauren. Oh, it's on the table, so I'll just call for the vote on the amended. All in favor?
You said as amended, right?
As amended. All in favor? Against? Passed. Thank you. All right. One down, 4 to go. Okay, moving forward, so that council received report PIC 2025, so the item F received report PIC 2025-23 dated October 14th, 2025, and approve it as recommended. This report, the screening and hearing officers bylaw. So do I need a mover and seconder to put on the, no, it's on the table? Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Armstrong. It's on the table. I will propose an amendment. I think you have the amendment. So I think you also want an amendment, Councillor Armstrong?
Yes.
So procedurally, when there are two amendments, do we? One at a time, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll go with my first one, then we'll go to the second one. So do you have the text for the proposed amendment?
Yes, we do.
So 3.3 has been updated there. So a hearing officer shall be appointed for a fixed term not to exceed, so the amendment is to change 3.3, not to exceed 3 years as recommended by the director and approved by council. Any extension, reappointment, or change in the appointment status shall be subject to council approval. In the absence of a reappointment or replacement at the end of the term, the hearing officer may continue in the role until council appoints a successor or determines the position is no longer required. So that is my proposed amendment to that particular section, and I need a seconder to support the amendment.
I'll second it, 'cause I want to talk about it.
Okay, so seconded by Councillor Lauren, and questions, comments? Councillor Lauren.
Can I just ask why the 3-year term and not just term of council? Wouldn't that make sense that at every term of council that they either reappoint or appoint somebody new? Rather than having to determine when is 3 years?
That's a fair question, Councillor Lauren. What was the rationale for 3 and not 4 and not 2? Is there anything around that, Madame Bordeaux?
There's no specific time expected. It's just that we tend to put a lot of items with the cycle of
Council.
council, and it's just to alleviate, since it's not exactly related to council's election.
Yeah, it's just more as the council is more as an outside party, so I'm comfortable with the 3 years. Councillor Armstrong?
Regardless, I don't see, I agree with Councillor Lauren. I don't see any reason why it should come up twice in some council's term, just 4 years so that every council gets to see it once.
That's a fair argument. I'm okay with the 4 years, to put it as a 4-year. Any other comments on this particular amendment? So I have an amendment to the amendment to increase it to 4 years. That is moved by.
Well, just change, because you're still in your original amendment.
So I
Just
can
change the 3 to 4.
Yeah, it hasn't been approved.
It hasn't been approved.
So if both
Yeah.
of you are okay.
I'm comfortable with the 4-year, and Councillor Lauren is comfortable with it. Any other questions or comments on the proposed 3.3 as amended? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote for the 3.3 as amended. All in favor? And passed. Thank you. Any further questions, comments, or amendments on this item? Councillor Armstrong.
3.4, I propose to amend 3.4 to add at the end any applicable operability of any statute, regulation, or bylaw with respect to parking, standing, and stopping. And that it gives it to the area in the Municipal Act and the regulation that allows or restricts the hearing officer's authority. That is not, restriction is not in any of the other acts.
Thank you, Councillor. I have a proposed amendment. Do I have a seconder for the amendment? Councillor Lauren?
I'm going to second it because I have questions.
Okay,
So I'll put it,
So it's
I'll
on the
get it on the
table.
table.
thank
and-
you.
So,
Questions, comments? Councillor Lauren?
thank you. Is the objective, by adding the additional thing at the end, to allow a hearing officer to have authority to consider questions on everything outside of those 3 items, or strictly inside those 3 items? Like, what is the reasoning behind why we're adding it? I just want to make sure I understand fully, because here it says it has no authority. So I want to make sure I understand what you're asking.
So Councillor Armstrong?
The Municipal Act places a restriction on hearing officers' authority on these items considering constitutional operability, et cetera. For parking, stopping, and standing, that's explicit in the actual regulations that comes out of the parking, stopping, and standing section. The other sections that allow administrative monetary penalties, because there are in fact 3 that apply to us, 3 sections. The other two sections have no such restrictions on a hearing officer's authority. So the hearing officer can look at these things, and you can resolve constitutional issues without going to a court.
So you want the hearing officer to have the authority to make a determination on things like
Constitutionality
whatever,
and
on
legality.
everything except for,
Parking, standing, and stopping, which is the
Okay.
term used in the Act.
so we'd be adding those additional items to that. Okay, now I understand where you want to add more responsibility to them or authority to them than what says in 3.4. That's what's being asked.
That's what's being asked.
Okay.
Adding more responsibility or
Well,
limiting that responsibility?
Well, this already limits
limits.
his,
Yeah.
okay? But it limits the authority on everything. And what I'm saying is that's not how the act, municipal act reads. Municipal act reads only for parking, stopping, and standing. Other than that, things are open to the hearing officer.
Councillor Lauren, follow up.
Yes. So based on that, now I need Madame Bordeaux to comment on that and whether or not that has been considered by someone from a legal perspective when drafting this bylaw.
I believe, and Madame Bordeaux, please correct me if I'm wrong, but we have addressed this when this first came up. So if you can clarify how this was addressed.
The reading I have of the regulation 333/07 doesn't mention either or.
So when this first came up, when we were discussing this, we were going to get a legal opinion, were we not? Before this came back? Monsieur
I thought
Godin?
we were.
Merci, Mr. Mayor. I might be mistaken, but I don't think so. When we last discussed this, it was to pass the bylaw for the actual AMS program, and council did adopt that bylaw.
But we did, but if I remember correctly, and Councillor Armstrong, please jump in here. Councillor Armstrong was objecting to part of it, and I think it's pretty much this aspect that Councillor Armstrong was objecting to. And although we still passed it, there was question about, we are not experts in municipal, in the Municipal Act to be able to agree or disagree with Councillor Armstrong, with all due respect. And so I'm just uncomfortable at this stage without having a legal opinion. I certainly am not comfortable moving forward, as much as I respect your opinion, Councillor Armstrong. I would hate that we're not putting in the full requirement as per the Municipal Act without subject matter expertise that confirms it. And Madame Bordeaux, I don't know if you have any additional insight on that to support it, but.
I can't add, the regulation states that we don't have the hearing and the screening officer don't have the authority to interpret, apply existing statute on, they can apply, but as part of the proceeding, they cannot strike down or declare a statute invalid.
And so you're reading this in the Municipal Act?
This is a regulation 333/07. I'm just trying to find it as we're speaking right now. I have it
Yeah.
on my phone.
So Councillor Armstrong?
In the meantime, Mr. Mayor, I again bring you to Section 2 of Regulation 333/07, which states, quote, "This regulation applies to administrative penalties that are required by a municipality in respect of the parking, standing, or stopping of vehicles and referred to in Section 102.1 of the Act being the Municipal Act." So 333/07 confines itself to parking, stopping, and standing. There is no regulations with respect to the other section, 434.1, or in the Building Code Act, which covers property standards bylaw.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Lauren, you had your hand up earlier on?
No, I'm still
Okay. Councillor
still
Deakin?
processing.
The way that I'm understanding this, Councillor Armstrong, you have a concern that because it's not mentioned, it implies that they do have authority.
Councillor,
And in my understanding of law, you don't imply authority, you assign authority. And so I'm comfortable with the way that it reads based on that knowledge.
thank you, Councillor Deakin.
sorry.
Councillor Armstrong.
My apologies.
All right.
My reading, when I looked this up, and the court authorities are that an administrative tribunal has the authority implied in it, and it's in the Statutory Powers Procedures Act, which provides the procedure for administrative tribunals. They have the power to declare their home statutes, as they're called, the sections they're authority on, unconstitutional or illegal, and not necessarily, not just to declare the actual section, in this case the bylaw, unconstitutional, but it would also say that applied in this sense, it is unconstitutional or illegal, but if applied in other ways, it is still standing.
So follow up, Councillor Deakin, then I have Councillor Lalonde, then Councillor Lauren.
And this is not an administrative tribunal.
It is according to the Statutory Powers Procedure Act.
A single hearing officer is an
Yes.
administrative tribunal.
Councillor Lalonde.
I'd like to request that we get a legal opinion on this, because again, to your comments of earlier, I don't necessarily disagree with Councillor Armstrong. I just want to get a legal opinion on this, please. That would be my request.
Thank you, and I also had Councillor Lauren.
Well, that's where I was going. Procedurally, we have an amendment on the table that has been moved and seconded. Can we defer an amendment to a future meeting for it to come back, but still approve the original item as amended, because we had an amendment for 3.3. So it's simple when it's just one, but when you have a second item that's being amended, can we defer just that amendment but still approve what's been amended already?
I
We
would
just
think
wanted
we're.
to-
I was asking the clerk.
Oh, sorry.
Yes,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, through you, we can approve with just the First Amendment,
Mhm.
and the second one can come back.
Okay, so we can approve that First Amendment and then request to defer
The other way
the
around.
amended resolution.
The other way
Yes,
around.
Yeah, that's.
You would
the
defer
amended
you
bylaw.
defer the amended and then approve the original as amended. Because you wouldn't be able to approve the original with an amendment pending. So you have to
That's what
defer.
I meant. That's
Yeah.
what I meant,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
Thank you.
I have a headache now.
Okay. Monsieur Godin, Madame Bordeaux, this council clearly is divided on which way to go on this. I think the direction now will be, well, it's not divided, we have kind of a solution here, but it is going to require us to defer accepting this based on that. So, Madame Camille Laflamme, please read it as I should say it, just to be sure I don't screw it up.
So we're on the amendment number 2. So
Yeah.
the amendment number 2 was moved and seconded.
Yeah,
So now you want to defer it to a future meeting?
okay.
Did you want to give the direction to obtain the legal opinion first?
That's
and
correct.
then-
So for amendment number 2, we are proposing to defer until such time that we can get proper legal confirmation as to Councillor Armstrong's concerns. And that is on the table now, so we do a vote based on the deferral, to defer the amendment, a vote. So I'll call for the vote to defer the amendment. All in favor? And pass. Thank you for the good discussion there. And now we will vote on the, sorry.
On the main motion as amended by section 3.3.
Okay, but in voting for the main motion as amended, we're just simply accepting the amendment, but not moving forward the motion. Is that correct? Because I don't think we're comfortable moving that motion forward.
You mean approving the full bylaw?
That's correct.
Okay. That's
Well,
the-
council, like, I think that's the direction right now, the feeling I'm getting.
So I guess we have to defer
Yeah.
that as well.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah, because I don't think that it would be, based on Councillor Lalonde's, that's correct. So the proposal then is to defer this entire motion as amended? As amended for the first amendment, as the approved amended version. Okay, so I have, I'll call for the vote. All in favor to defer? Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, that was a bit of a challenge, and I appreciate everyone's patience on that. Okay, moving to item H, I believe. The council receive report. So the council receive report ISWA TWW 2025-04 dated October 14th and approve the water and wastewater financial model. So mover seconder to put it on the table, moved by Councillor Lauren, seconded by Councillor Armstrong. Question, comments, amendments. I believe we had discussed an amendment around methodology and improve the methodology around the water and wastewater financial model. Councillor Deakin?
To put it on the table, or?
No, it's
Is
on
it
the
already?
table, yeah.
Okay, my issue is that it's precisely the methodology that I don't have. I don't understand the assumptions that are going into the model. I don't understand I don't see in the report where the traceability of it, where it's being linked to other strategies, other master plans. So I don't think that word quite does it for me, but it does help me identify what the challenge is.
Yeah, but if I understand correctly, Mr. Bourgon, that we need to approve something around the water calculation for the upcoming 20 years
Yeah.
today for the,
Exactly, and to reassure Councillor Deakin, the idea is like we take account inflation, we take account increased rate from Ottawa, we take account the asset water loss. Those variables are all included in the model.
and they're standard included models, but when we come to our budget, this amount will have to be
It will have to
rediscussed.
be reviewed annually. So, and again, to be discussed with council prior to the approval of the budget
And
and the rates.
At the budget, we will get an updated version with the details that Councillor Deakin is
Exactly,
looking
we'll be
for.
able to elaborate, but the intent, it's really to show council, which ultimately the owner of the system, that we have that tool and we're taking account all those variables to establish the budget and the rates.
So, but just to clarify, Councillor Deakin, and rightfully so, is asking for clarification of some of those variables so that residents that are looking at this are able to read the story behind it. Did I say that correctly?
Thank you. I appreciate that this model's been in place for many years. It's a challenge to me when I hear we've always done it this way, and so this is the way it should be done. We're looking at significant investments, unprecedented investments into water, wastewater. in the future, and that's why this feels so important now to start opening up what is the way that we've always done it, and why is that the way, the right way ahead. I understand the urgency, and so understanding as well that the more heavier investment is on the wastewater side, and it's the water licensing that we're looking at in the next month. I'm okay to go ahead as it is, with the understanding that in future years when this comes to council, that we can get a little bit more rationale, and it was a very brief report, that we can see a little bit more of what this tool is and how it's serving us, and if, especially if it needs to change from what's been done.
Thank you, Councillor Deacon. Monsieur Bourgon, does that make sense from your perspective? Are we able to move in that direction?
Yeah, we will be able to provide more info as requested. At this point, we still feel like there's lots of information presented to council.
No argument about the information being presented. I think the argument is about the clarification around what is being presented, what's accounted for, how is it linked to the AMP, and so on, the story behind that, so that anybody looking at this report can have a more or less of an understanding.
Yeah,
And so just a little more
That's
detail.
understood.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Lauren?
I'm fine with the way it's drafted, understanding everything that we need to do this month. What I'm going to ask council to direct staff to do is to come back with a presentation to council at one of our meetings, maybe in the new year, providing a full explanation of all of the lines that are in the actual item, so that we can fully understand the methodology being used. So not asking for it now, we have budgets, we have all that stuff going on, but at some point in the future, in, I'll say, February timeframe, March timeframe, when it's maybe a little slower, that you can provide a presentation to council outlining that methodology that we're looking for, if that makes sense to council. Because we have an item in our agenda that talks to presentations or something like that, reports. So I'm sure that a presentation could be done under strategic
yeah.
items, so under strategic discussion maybe. That way there, we can get this approved on time. We could talk through the budget, and then using the information from the budget, we can then get that presentation to council.
I'm comfortable with that. I think that it could go down as professional development for council, and I think it certainly would be beneficial. Monsieur Bourgon, does that make sense? Is that doable in that kind of time frame? Okay. So do we need to, outside of this resolution, do we need to change anything to direct staff in terms of having some sort of presentation in February explaining the updated process after we go through the budget process? Monsieur Gardin, pardon.
Merci, Monsieur Mayor. No, I don't think so. Just a simple direction. That's fine.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so we have a resolution on the table. I will call for the vote as it is. All in favor? And passed.
Do we need to say yes to the direction as well?
I'm not sure, do we need to say yes to the direction? I think that was clear in the, do you need any additional information there? Madame Camille Laflamme, Monsieur Gardin? No?
No?
No, we'll note it in the follow-up actions.
Oui, merci. Okay, thank you, Councillor. Okay, moving to item, I was going to say I, but as a joke, but I'll just say L. Okay, that council receive recommendation 2025 dated October 1st, 2025 from the Community Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Advisory Committee with the respect of expanding the bilingual accessibility of open council meetings. I need a mover and seconder to put this on the table. Moved by Councillor Lauren, seconded by Councillor Armstrong. Questions, comments, amendments? Councillor Deacon.
I would like to make an amendment as follows, that council receive and approve recommendation 2025-05 dated October 1st, 2025 from the CDEIAC with respect to expanding the bilingual accessibility of open council meetings.
Questions, comments on the proposed amendment? I need a seconder for this amendment, seconded by Councillor Lauren. Questions, comments on the amendment? Monsieur Godin, from a staff perspective, any concerns or issues around this amendment? No, thank you. So we've got a seconder for the amendment. Any final questions, comments on it? I'll call for the vote as amended. All in favor and passed. I'll call for the vote for the amended recommendation. Yeah, there is hope. The council receives and approves the recommendation 2025-05 dated October 1st, 2025 from the Community Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Advisory Committee with respect to the expanding the bilingual accessibility of open council meetings. I'll call for the vote as amended. No, I did amend it.
You still have to say as amended.
As amended. I was so close. Thank you for raining on my parade. I'll call for the vote. All in favor and passed. Thank you, council. All right. I'm done with those. Yeah? C'est ça. Oui. Alors, on va à l'item 16. Oui, non?
N.
Ah, d'accord. The council receive, okay, so item N as Nancy. The council receive recommendation 2025-07 dated October 1st, 2025 from the Community Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Advisory Committee with respect to the bystander training intervention. I move or seconder to put it on the table. Moved by Councillor Deacon, seconded by Councillor Lalonde. Questions, comments? Councillor Lauren.
I think we have to add and endorse in there. I think that was the word that was missing.
Okay, so we have a proposed amendments to add the council receive and endorse recommendation, so on. So I have a proposed amendment. I need a seconder for the amendment, seconded by Councillor Deacon. Thank you. Call for the vote on the amendment of adding add and endorsed. All in favor and passed. Read the amended resolution that council receive and endorse recommendation 2025-07 dated October 1st, 2025 from the Community Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Advisory Committee with respect to bystander intervention training. Call for the vote on the amended resolution. All in favor? And passed. Thank you, council. Ça marche, Madame Camille Laflamme? Oui? OK. Alors, on tombe à l'item numéro 16. I believe that we are deferring the AMP screening and hearing officers. That's correct. So motion that council approve bylaws 2025-120 and 121 inclusively for first, second, and third.
Mr. Mayor, we can put the whole thing on as main and then make the
Oh,
amendment.
okay. Motion that council approve bylaw 2025-120 to 2025-123 inclusively for first, second, and third reading as listed on the agenda. This is moved by Councillor Lawrence, seconded by Councillor Armstrong. And now we will propose the removal of item. C'était quoi? C'était. Thank you. So amendment to remove bylaw 123, 2025-123. This is moved by Councillor Armstrong, seconded by Councillor Lauren. Call for the vote to remove the item. All in favor to remove the item, and passed. So motion that council approve bylaws 2025-120 and 2025-121 and 2025-122 inclusively for a second and third reading as listed on the agenda. This is moved by Councillor Armstrong and Councillor Deacon, seconded by Councillor Deacon. Questions, comments?
Just a question. You said first, second, and third reading, correct?
I did, yeah.
Because I only heard second and third reading.
No, I said first, second, and third reading.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
I
Thank you.
might have paused to take a breath, but I did say it.
So we already had a mover, seconder for the main on the table.
So it was already on there, so just calling for the
Yes,
vote
as
for,
amended.
as amended. Okay. So as amended, call for the vote. All in favor? Thank you. And passed. C'est bon? On avance?
Yes, so now we can go back to 1, 2, 3, just to say it's different. Just
Fait
to-
que Là, je fais la motion. Refais la motion. Motion that council approve bylaws 2025, 120, 121, and 122 inclusively for first, second, and third reading? Or,
We already did that one.
so which one are you telling me to go back to?
So 123 by itself, just to say.
To defer it.
Just to defer, okay. Motion that council defer bylaw 2025-123, bylaw AMP screening and hearing officers. C'est bon comme ça? So this is moved by Councillor Lawrence, seconded by Councillor Armstrong. Call for the vote to defer. All in favor? And passed. Thank you. C'est bon? OK, on avance. Item numéro 17. Rapport d'affaires nouveau, on n'en a pas. Numéro 18. Other business, business presented by council members. So 18A, Councillor Deacon, Child Care Service Provision. Councillor Deacon, floor is yours.
Merci. So school is back in session, and I've heard from a few families this month on different occasions feeling strained from a lack of access to local childcare. These families have had their children on the wait list, as I understand, for before and after school care for several years. I do appreciate that childcare touches, of course, on all levels of government, federal, provincial, counties, and is related with other issues as well. But on a local service provision level, I'd like to, on behalf of those families, request an update about service provision by the township, specifically before and after school care. What is being provided, what actions have been taken in recent years to expand those services, and is the township exploring further expansion to meet, this anecdotal need that I'm hearing? And if so, what are the next steps in that exploration?
Thank you, Councillor Deacon. Madame Guittard, are you in a position to respond, or should we do this as a follow-up?
I thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I do have numbers here tonight,
Okay,
but definitely we could also bring an updated report if you want,
okay.
if this is council's wish. I can say that there's lots of effort put towards even for the before and after, and also the preschool. We've acquired 2 daycare services in the last 3 years. I can say that the one at Saint Joseph, we've increased the daycare for the preschool of 60%. So we're full capacity now. Now we're working towards the before and after. We have 63 registered in the morning right now and 128 children registered in the afternoon. We're full to capacity for the afternoon. And of course, in Russell at Saint Joseph, the request is in the afternoon because they finished school earlier. And I don't think it's a news for anybody. Staff is a very big, challenging issue. And the before and after is even more challenging because they're split shifts. So it's very hard to find staff in the morning and staff at night. Just as an example, last Thursday, we almost had to close a group of children. We almost had to call the parents to tell them that we could not offer the service because we had so many employees that did not show up for work for all kinds of reasons. The 2 supervisors, the one from Mother Teresa and the one from Saint Joseph, had to be on the floor and work. We had no choice for them to be in the groups so that we could still offer the service. Fortunately, maybe I shouldn't say that, but we had a few kids missing that day, so we were able to meet the ratios and we were able to keep the groups opened. It's pretty much the same story in Embrun. We're full to capacity in Embrun also, and Mother Teresa. So definitely we're working to maybe expand our permit, our license for each daycares for the before and after. But definitely the staffing is very challenging. We've raised the salaries of almost 30% in the last 3 years. So that was a really good thing because we are able now to retain more, to hire more staff. The counties right now is doing a feasibility study for the daycares. We will be having our own in the year 2026 to see where we're going with that too. So that will be definitely coming to council at one point. So we really want to have a clear mandate and a clear vision of where we're going with the daycare services. Because at this point, we are almost full to capacity in all the different 4 locations that we have with the daycares. So I think our vision will be to seek out if we want to be operating daycares in other facilities than schools. So that will be one question. The other issue also that we have right now with counties is we're getting the provincial subsidy, the CWELCC, the SPAJ, which subsidizes the daycare for preschool, 0 to 6 years old, almost to half of what usually they would pay. So right now, counties has frozen those subsidy until we finish at least the year to see where they are and to see if the province will be willing to send more money towards the counties. So that's another thing that we're waiting for. So, because that's a very big break, if you want, for the parents. Because for example, for the toddlers, instead of paying $55 per day, they're currently paying $22. So that's extremely advantageous for the parents. And the township, we registered for that program almost 3 years ago, and I can say that the parents are very, very happy with that.
So a summary basically is resources are maxed out, and then staffing. So yeah, staffing is maxed out, or challenges there. The demand is growing and is not slowing down, considering our growth here in the municipality. It stands to reason. And next year in 2026, we will be doing a plan of what are the next steps and how we're going. I had Councillor Lauren with a question.
Yeah, and just a reminder too that our daycares are all in collaboration with the school boards because we're in the schools. We don't offer an outside program to the schools, which then limits the ability for people to attend those locations. It restricts them as long as they're within the school board, I believe, and for the most part, that school itself, right?
Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
If I can add to that, though, for the 0 to 4 years old, which is the years for the preschool, they can be attending any daycare. They don't have to be part of that school system specifically, because they're not in school yet. But as soon as they go to school, then they have to be part of that school board specifically, where they want to go.
But that age group is the one that's most challenged in terms of finding spaces, right?
The before and after.
Mais de 0 à 4, les bambins.
No.
It's challenging, but it's less challenging because that's a full-time permanent position.
I see.
That comes with the benefits and everything, so.
Okay, je comprends.
And like even at Township, we started about 4 years ago, we do pay for the
Yes.
course. So if they enroll, we do pay the classes. Of course, there's some conditions, but yeah.
So that just adds to the challenge, right? We're talking, it's just another limitation that we have. on top of the facility itself, whether they can expand or not to provide additional space,
Yeah.
which would then add more spaces available for people to come in. So it is very challenging, for sure.
Councillor Deacon, a follow-up?
I'm hearing that and appreciating all of the work that administration has done on the daycare side and coming up against a lot of barriers, and especially hearing the staffing. It's really, it's disappointing to hear that that hasn't moved the needle as much as we had hoped in terms of increasing those salaries, and of course appreciating too the added logistical challenge for staffing, the before and after. Summer camps are not held to the same licensing and rigor. And we have fantastic recreational programming in the community. We don't have a lot of recreational programming for kids directly after school. The library has run for about a year now, I think, a after-school club, which is fully subscribed, and I believe the kids start into that at maybe age 7, where they're somehow getting from school to library once a week for an after-school club in those critical hours, right after school, right, where parents are not yet home from work. That's where we're hearing a lot of the strain is. I do know of programs and collaborations that happen in other provinces where I think you can kind of see where I'm going here. For the older kids in after-school care, do they need to physically be in a daycare setting, an official licensed after-school setting? Or is this an opportunity for the recreational side of the municipality to be filling a gap? And I know of examples of this in other provinces that work really well. You have an adult running after-school basketball or after-school open play. You know, you could look through the recreational guide and see a lot of these offerings. I don't want to get too much into the weeds of the operational, but I'll send along that information to staff. I'm hearing that we're running into the limits of what we can do in the immediate term for before and after school in a daycare setting, but we're also providing fantastic recreation that perhaps could also fill a need during those hours for the older kids that are currently in that daycare setting, but perhaps don't need to be.
Thank you, Councillor Deacon. Madame Guittard?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. The only thing that I could add, there is a provincial ruling that there is a ratio for that age group, 1 for 15. So when we have our summer camps, this is where we need to have 1 per 15. You need to have an adult, of course, on the premises because of insurance issues also. The only thing also is the age group starting at 9 years old, we have very, very low request for that. So it's it's 4 to 8 years old, that's really where it stops. And after that, 9 years old, we have very, very low demand for that, so.
Thank you. Councillor Lauren, I'll come back to you,
And then
Councillor.
I believe at 10, they're allowed legally to stay at home by themselves after school, which is probably why you see less and less of
Maybe.
kids at that age. But I think the discussion that Councillor Deacon was having there was, we'll add to a lot of discussion that we'll have regarding the facilities when we look at what we're going to do with our existing recreational facilities once the complex is up and running. So
Thank you.
look forward to that.
Thank you. Councillor Deacon?
Thanks. I hope that this could feed into the master planning process as well for Parks and Recreation. I did ask one parent, did you respond to the survey? And they said, absolutely. And I said, did you respond with summer camps in mind? And they said, I did not. I didn't realize that that was in scope. Really important to be considering taking a step back and looking what the actual challenge is and trying to alleviate that perhaps from more creative angles. The 1 to 15 ratio, just so that I'm clear, that's for which age? To 8 years old?
Madame Guittard?
No, there's no age limit. It's just, I'm saying when we have our summer
Any
camps,
sort of rec
we have
programming.
to start at 4 years old,
Mhm.
nothing lower than that.
Mhm.
It needs to be 4,
Yeah, Yeah.
up to 12 years old usually.
and that would be the same ratio in place for any recreation programming likely, I would think, from the
Recreation, yes.
township. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Conseiller Lalonde?
Yeah, I was going to make the same point on the, when we did some of the one-on-ones on the master plan last few weeks, I brought up the issue myself of whether this could be taken into account with the strong demand for after-school as part of the recreation and culture master plan. And the response I got was that it was on the radar screen. It's to maybe wonder how much it can be taken into account. When I brought it up, it was in relation to, we talk about the resources required. And I was also talking about now running out of space. And, I dovetailed that into what could be done with the arenas afterwards, so whether they couldn't become obvious candidates to, on the one hand, address what is becoming a space issue as well, not just a human resource issue. So I'm hoping that that is going to come out, and that those two, not just recreation, but this whole issue with after school and summer programs and daycare can get a real careful look going forward for us to be able to devise a strategy.
Merci, conseiller. Anything else for this item 18? Councillor Armstrong?
Just as a grandfather-to-be in March, my son and daughter-in-law living in Barrhaven have already got their names in on daycare for the unborn, and they're wondering how they're going to get that child into daycare somewhere. Do we have any referral or any service for perhaps in-home daycares where we have under 4 years old and proper in-home daycares where we can refer a parent, et
Madame
cetera?
Vital?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Yeah, if you go on the county's website, under social services, the family services for daycares are all listed there. So that's also to make sure that whenever you are requesting or you're seeing an ad for a daycare, family daycare private, that you know the legit part of the service. You can check with the counties.
Merci beaucoup. Alors, on tourne au numéro 19, public consultations announcements. We have, public consultations hearings, we have none. Announcements, I've got a few since our last meeting, just to share with everyone. So September 25th, participated in celebrating the 25th anniversary for Valoris. So thank you, Valoris, for all the service to our community now for 25 years, which is fantastic. September 26th was Franco Day. We celebrated the monument of the Francophonie. It was great to see all the schools that walked to the monument. It was great, and it was so busy. And it was nice to see that celebration. September 30th was Truth and Reconciliation Day. I was proud to see the township flying the flag for the first time. Big shout out to the CDEI AC recommendation that made that possible. Great aspect to that committee's work. October 2nd, official opening of our Food Basics. There was a lineup around the corner that morning at 8 o'clock. It was surprising to see. I actually attended a couple more times in that day and didn't let up. So, and I think from what I heard this weekend, it was pretty busy. October 3rd, I had the pleasure of participating with Councillor Deacon and Councillor Armstrong in the OFA annual meeting. It was very interesting. And because of the nature of the meeting, it's done in the evenings on Friday night at 8 o'clock in the evening, which was interesting. But it was a great meeting. On October 4th, Township supported the third accessible Halloween event on Marseille Street. Shoutouts to staff and residents. I saw Councillor Deacon there. I'm not sure who else. I saw Chief there and your team and the junior firefighters that were there as well. Junior OPP that was there as well, and bylaw that was there en masse as well. This is the third time that we're running this event, and I'm always amazed, that every member on that street is totally into it. When this first came to us, I remember saying, well, I have no issue with it, but you'll have to have everyone on your street agree to it. Oh, that's no problem. And lo and behold, it's their third one. And everybody on the street is dressed up. And we had the League of Superheroes. Our previous mayor would have been happy. I know he was a superhero fanatic. And they're really amazing costumes. Anyways, that was pretty cool. I encourage everyone to go see that. And we had Councillor Deacon I crossed on the way out, who was coming in with her out costume. You were costumed, and
It was Waldo. It wasn't.
Waldo.
It wasn't me.
oh, okay.
See her then?
There you go. Hey?
Found her?
Yeah, I didn't realize it was her. Sorry. I messed that up. On October 5th, I had the pleasure of attending a Diwali celebration above the Russell Arena. There was about 50 members of the community there. What a treat to discover the culture, the food, and the dances. And so I encourage you, if you ever have a chance, to go see that. It was great. It was a great community strong event. On October 6th, I had the pleasure of attending public exhibition for the first Youth Infographic Challenge. That was another great project, and that was led by the Community Diversity and Equity and Inclusion Advisory Committee. It's great to see the work that was presented. That is up there for the month. I'm going to encourage you to go to the library and check out the work that these youth have put together. The work that focuses on data-driven decisions and analytics, and demonstrating data and the validity of data, which I stand behind 1,000%. So congratulations to that committee. Councillor Deacon, who chairs that committee, and all the great work that's done there. Upcoming this weekend, just a reminder that on October 18th, the Russell Run Club is hosting the Russell Run on Saturday. The event will feature a 1.2-kilometer kids fun run, a 5-kilometer run walk, and a 10-kilometer road race. Last year, they welcomed over 200 participants, and with the growth of both the community and the club, they anticipate a much larger turnout as well. So fundraise from the Russell Run will go directly towards supporting the growth of these programs and investing back into the community. I am going to watch my daughter run the marathon in Toronto. Otherwise, I would have ran the 10-kilometer for sure. And just a couple of other points. We have a police service board meeting coming up on October 20th. And of course, October 23rd and 24th are going to be extremely important days for us for special council meetings to review the upcoming 2026 budget for our working sessions on those particular 2 days. That's it for me. Any other announcements now that Councillor Deacon? What did I miss?
I just have one. It's Public Library Week. And I wanted to celebrate our public library. We have a board member from the Public Library Board here in the audience tonight, which is wonderful. So thankful to all of the board members and library staff for what they do year over year to bring knowledge and literacy to our community. We had, in 2024, between the two branches, they welcomed over 52,000 visitors and loaned over 115,000 items. So bravo.
Excellent. Great point. I'm looking
Go get a
forward to that
library card.
meeting. Yeah, I'm going to that meeting this week, so I'm looking forward to that meeting. Any other announcements? Thank you. So we move to item 21, discussion stratégique. On n'en a pas. Item 22, session à huis clos. Pursuant to section 239(2), 3, and 3.1 of the Municipal Act 2001, SO 2001, Chapter 5. Motion to move into close meeting at the hour of 8:50. PM, to address matters pertaining to Section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001, SO 2001, Chapter 25, to consider matters relating to 1, sale of land in the 417 Industrial Park, Report CS 2025-09A, S2C, and relating to a proposed pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, and 2, to review closed session minutes of the regular council meeting regular council meeting dated September 8th, 2025. And that is moved by Councillor Armstrong, seconded by Conseiller Lalonde. Call for the vote to go into closed session. All in favor? And passed. We are now moving to closed session. We'll take a couple of minutes if anyone needs to stretch.